Yo, what is good, everybody? I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. It was much more laid back for me this time around. Just spent the weekend with some close friends. And we got a lot to talk about in today's video. We're going to be taking a look at some clips from videos from about a month ago on Apple, Amazon, Tesla, and SPY. Where I was looking at 30-40% moves on those things. And you're going to see how they played out perfectly. And I'm going to talk about what I expect from here. So we're just going to get into it. Make sure to show the video some love. Give it a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So to start off here, we got oil here. So oil, it's been kind of a tricky spot here. Right now, it's somewhat in a range here. So, we played this entire move up here, and we actually shorted that drop. And we got out early, and I wanted to short this drop. But it's been kind of an awkward few weeks for me as I've been transitioning back into school and everything. So I haven't been able to trade much. But I really wanted to short this entire move because this was so obviously exhausted. But I did miss it. So now I'm kind of trying to focus on the macro here. So the question I'm asking myself is, well, does it want to break out to the upside? And you can seriously see some upside on oil here, like in a major move if it decides to do this before the apex, or this is just going to break down into this major support at 63, which I've been talking about and kind of waiting for quite a while. So if it gets down there, that is a pretty solid buying opportunity in my opinion. I am in no way a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything, but that is a big level I am watching. I think I accidentally deleted a supply zone I had. I'll just put it back up. So right here, this is a major support. You can see it's interacted with a lot here. So I would really expect the first time we get down here that it's going to get a very good reaction. A lot of buyers are going to step in that first time we touch it. So I'm really focusing on the macro here, kind of trying to gauge and see if these buyers and bulls want to hold it up where it is at right now and break it out to the upside and take it up into the 90s. So if that is the case, 93, 94 is a big region to break. If you can break that, you can really see some upside here. You can see a push into the low 100s, and that's going to be a major opportunity for bulls to make money on oil. So keep an eye on oil. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be really helpful to see what it does early on in the week, Monday and Tuesdays. So going on to natural gas, we finally hit my long range target. Now this thing has had a nasty sell-off. I have not seen a sell-off like this in quite some time, but the structure I was looking for was, so we got our finished ABC structure, but it was the micro structure that was kind of distracting me. So inside of these waves, what you usually have is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a fifth wave down. So kind of varies in the length of these waves, but what I was looking for was that fourth wave bounce, and we did not get that. We just sold off and hit my target. So that target comes from right here, so you can see that from that high to this low to that high. So you're also in a bottoming phase according to Hirsch theory, cycle analysis. So what we should be seeing here is a bottoming process. Now this is not something you want to just buy because it's in this phase where it should bottom. This is a kind of a wide range here. So as you can see, just this region right here, I think you could see a lot of bulls step in, but let me lower this a little. So right around here, you can see there's definitely been some price action down here where bulls step in and they take it back up. So it's quite a wide range. It doesn't have to bottom necessarily from right here, but it can, and if it does, you can see a really nice reaction off of that. So going on to the US dollar, I was talking about how we should break to the upside here. We had a little fake out, definitely trapped a lot of people, stopped out a lot of people as well, and then squeezed those shorts up, made people chase. So very interesting move, and this was also a tough area that was going to be for those US dollar bulls, and they managed to break it pretty easily, to be honest. It did it in one shot, and from here it's kind of interesting. You got some congestion around here, so you should expect to see some resistance around here, maybe some selling, So you can kind of see that it's wicking down from that area, but if you can get over that, there's a lot of liquidity to test. So you could see all the way up to, I'd say around 105. So that could put some pressure on the overall markets. So keep an eye on the DXY if it really wants to break over this region right here, which is going to be 103.50ish. So on to Apple. I'm going to play a clip from a few weeks ago. If you break out of this wedge, well, you could see an enormous move to the upside. You still got that gap up there. Do not leave that out of the question. So now we're almost there. We're almost at that gap fill, and that's what we were talking about. We were bullish pretty much during this entire thing. Down here, it was really looking like a fake out. You had those divergences here while the price action was falling. So that didn't trap us, especially if you watch my videos. You probably could have made a lot of money on this move if you caught this. So you broke out of that big wedge here. As you can see, these two lines, that's what you got. So we're finding some resistance at this fib channel, but above that, it's that gap. And then it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if we can just break above this and keep going. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. We're overbought here, and it's gone pretty much vertical. So I honestly do not really think it's just going to fly above this, but it is possible. You can't leave that out of the picture. But the big thing to watch right now is that gap. So the low 160s, we can get there. We might have to pull back from here. Got a gap down here, but it's pretty likely, in my opinion, that this gap is going to get filled sooner or later, just because that's a pretty significant gap. So keep that gap on watch. I've been saying that for the past few weeks, and I'm still saying it. So on to Tesla. I'm going to show you a clip for Tesla. Keep an eye on that supply zone. If you get over this region, I think the big level is 150, 154. If you can get over that, straight shot to 180, and yeah. It's got some upside, so keep an eye. So for Tesla here, we're looking for that bottom at 101 or 94, and if it didn't bottom there, it was gonna be the 60s, and that didn't make sense for me. That was just too much of a drop, and so that's when we started looking for those upside targets. We said it was going to be kind of a process. We had to break through this region, to that circle, and once we got above that, it was a pretty. You had a lot of room to the upside. That first target was the 140s because that was a big supply zone where it was going to be met with sellers, and that actually did not stay down for long. You can see you got rejected once from there. We can zoom in a little so you can really see that rejection. So right here, we dipped into this supply zone where I said will be met with sellers. I said sellers, Tesla will sell off. It will get selling pressure once we get there. That's what we got. We got an okay sell. It was not that big, and we ran up. And I said if we can break through the 140s, the big resistance is going to be 150, and then from there it's a straight shot to 180 because of that volume gap. And from there, in my most previous videos, I was talking about this region up here. So this 220, I said, is going to be really the main big area to watch. Also, you can see there's a lot of reaction for it is right now. We're going to go on to the daily. So, yeah, you can see it will have trouble here. It's not going to be easy getting through 200. That's going to be psychological resistance. So, this is going, I don't really think it's going to be able to break through this without a significant pullback or drop. We have a massive gap down here as well at 146. Right on top of that supply zone, which might now be a demand zone where it could be held up by bulls if it decides to come back here into this zone where buyers want to step in. But from here, yeah, we'll see what it does. This is a big volume gap, so I would expect if you break back under 180, you might come all the way back down to 150. And that's how I came to the conclusion that if we break 150, it's a straight shot to 180 because of this volume gap. I've explained it many times in my previous videos. When you go into a volume gap, it's a very illiquid region, and price action wants to take it to the next area. whether there's people waiting to trade it, whether it's going to be buyers or sellers. So that's what happens in these volume gaps. It goes straight through, and that's a big thing we'll talk about on SPY when we get there. So on to Amazon. Well, actually, to clarify what I think is going to happen with Tesla, this region right here, from 180 to 230ish, is going to be really, really difficult for the bulls. So I would expect anywhere in this region, we could probably see some cooling off. Maybe it attempts it again. But it has made its run. It's made the run we've expected it to, that we were talking about for the past several weeks. So now we're kind of looking for it to take a breath. Okay, so now on to Amazon. We're going to look at the clip for this one. Get back through that, you can definitely see a really nice move up, probably towards 111. That's a really decent move, to be honest, like 30%. So for Amazon, we were looking for a gigantic move. We had all these gaps listed out as these targets, and it managed to run up to that second one, and that's not what I was personally targeting. I was targeting 110 since we were down here in the channel, because nothing goes down forever. That's not how it works. Nothing goes down forever, nothing goes up forever. So I was looking for a massive move up to the upside, just because Amazon had a serious move to the downside in this really tight channel here, which I guess might be different on the daily. I don't know. However I do this, it was a channel regardless, in this consolidated zone going to the downside, and it was going to break up no matter what. It had to. That's just how it works in the market. Nothing goes up, nothing goes down forever. So that's what we got. We finally hit my target from here. I mean, it had a pretty decent cool off, but I don't think it lasted long enough. So when I'm talking about a cool off, sometimes these sell-offs or these cool-offs have to be prolonged, so these indicators can cool off. So this was really fast. It doesn't really give people time to digest what happened, react to it. So this, I have pretty high doubts that this is just going to keep going straight up, especially considering the daily RSI is crossed over. But we'll take a look at the 4 hour quick and kind of see what that's looking like. So the RSI is testing that control zone, so it's also testing the top of, so actually this is another really, really crucial thing to understand here, this demand zone. So this has to do with the volume gap, which I was just talking about earlier. Give it a second to load. So right here is the top of a volume node. So it's kind of, it's a little tricky here. So this is the big volume gap. If you get, which won't happen anytime soon, but if you break above 123, it's a straight shot to 151. So write that down, set alerts for that. If Amazon consistently, so it needs to sustainably break above 123, 124ish, and it can move all the way to 150. But at this rate, it can't do that. It would have to look like this. It would literally just be this like straight line all the way up. That won't happen. So from here, you can kind of see we broke this like outer threshold level of this lower volume gap, which I was saying once you break above that, it's going to be a lot easier to just kind of move up. You can see there's not really any, I guess, distinguished volume nodes. Now you have these smaller ones, but they're not. It's not anything major like this. You can really see that. If you get back up here, however that looks, you're going to see a disgusting sell-off. So you really want to understand how these volume nodes work and how traders interact with them and just kind of how the market revolves around them. So from here, you might need to see a little bit more of some cooling down, maybe even come all the way lower. You got some gaps down here as well. So Amazon here, it did the move I was looking for. Now I'm just kind of watching it to see what it wants to do. But it did what I wanted it to do, so now I'm just going to kind of wait till I see the next clear opportunity to kind of just arrive. And another thing to note, you got that big volume node down here, so it could come back down here, and which is not that far away, and kind of test buyers and support there. So going on to biotech now. It finally broke out of this range it was trading in for so long. So I really hope people took advantage of this range, because you don't see ranges like this very often. This was by far the most consistent range I've ever seen, and it lasted since September of 2022 all the way until really pretty much January, February. It's really started putting the pressure on the bears here, as you can see. And once you broke out of that, it was quite a break to the upside. So you got a gap up here. Might want to fill that. It just filled this one here. So yeah, not really too sure what to say about this. It really made a run here. It has divergences, kind of overextended, but it broke out of a massive range that's been intact for quite a long time. So just because there's divergences doesn't mean it needs to go down. There's a lot of consolidated pressure and energy that's kind of being expelled after this consolidation. So keep an eye on this thing. It's a tricky spot. I'm kind of looking for a move down soon, but I think it's probably a good idea to just sit and wait a little and see what it really wants to do. I would not be surprised if it comes back and tests the top of this range again after this break. So probably 850ish. We'll see what it wants to do then. But XBI, the big thing to be watching here is this also has a very small gap up here, which maybe wants to fill. It's pretty small, but a gap is a gap, so you got to keep an eye on it. We're just kind of seeing how it wants to react in this range, and just kind of see how that price action works. So this is another thing I'll be watching on Monday and Tuesday, kind of see what it wants to do, as for what it wants to do for the macro, kind of setting itself up for the future. The semiconductors, if you're in the Discord, we're looking at a massive swing play for this that can easily net you 5-6 digits in returns if it goes the way it potentially could. So join the Discord if you want to know what I'm talking about. But to give you the idea, 5 waves down, 3 waves up. What happens after 3 waves up? You get 5 waves down. So we would see a new low, something like that, under 200. So this was what we've been targeting for quite a while here. Just kind of this breakout to the upside. And there's a couple ways you can measure this. You also had this. We hit the 50% extension, assuming this was a wedge. So this was a really long-term play. We're kind of looking at this wedge breakout. 5 waves down, you broke out. You got your ABC up, which was perfectly symmetrical, which I'm going to show you. Deleted the wrong thing. Give me a second. So, okay, so zooming in on these waves now, this ABC here. The way you measure this, you take your fib extension tool, draw it from the high to the low. So this is a little awkward, but I'm just gonna kind of give it the more I forget the word I'm looking for. Regardless, it gives you the target you're looking for, which it doinked it and got rejected pretty hard, pretty fast. So this wave is, when it hits the 100% extension, this wave is now equal in length to this wave. So that's what we're kind of looking with wave structure. If you want to learn how to really utilize this, the main concept is just symmetry. There's a lot of symmetry in the markets. If you're looking for it, you just have to look for it, and that's what you get. So from here, what really needs to happen is it needs to break back under this region here. So that's why I have this highlighted. If it can break back under this region, which is kind of a pivot, in a sort of sense, if it can break back under this, it's going so much lower. It can really drop. But if it can hold this region, it would really have to hold this top area. So if it can hold from that, it's going to go into a 5th wave. So this would likely need to go a little higher and then pull back. So it's a tricky spot for this and just the general market, semiconductor market as well. But we're really going to be keeping an eye on this, because if it goes a little higher and then pulls back, holds support, and then goes even higher, well, from there, it would be an absolute free money play. That's 5 waves up. After 5 waves up, you get a correction, and then you go higher. But that's not something we really need to focus on. I mean, it took like 1 month for these waves to play out. So there's time on your hands to really sit back and kind of analyze this and understand what it's trying to do. So semis, I'm just kind of watching how it's going to react with this region here, because it's going to have to test support at some point soon. I think I could even see some waves developing in here that might be finishing soon, so really keeping an eye on this. Wave 4 is always going to be a pivot. That's also what it's testing right now, so really interesting area here. It's at a massive macro standpoint where the macro of the market is about to be decided, so this is a really big week to pay attention to the macro of the markets instead of just really kind of focusing in on the intraday moves. You need to zoom out. I'm telling you, this week is really, really, really important just for like the next several months for what the market does. So zoom out, look at the bigger picture. That's really all I have to say for those semiconductors. It looks like it might need relief soon from this upside move here. SOXL has been really moving to the upside lately. It's got a lot of gaps to the downside. This looks like it's wedging. I believe there's there's divergences as well. So keep your eye on this thing. This could see a nasty squeeze to the upside. And I'm talking about. We're gonna take a look at the percentage move quick. Let me switch this. So from here, assuming this is the bottom, yeah, you can seriously see some upside on this thing. So keep your eye on this. Don't sleep on this. We're looking at it cool off on the markets anyway. So that's what I'm looking for, and you would definitely see that come from SOXS. So for the VIX, we're looking for this gap to get filled. Kind of went lower than we thought it would, but in this kind of like this whole picture here, it's not exactly a surprise. Right now, we're just kind of looking through some sort of bottoming process, but the way the market's kind of turning out now with its momentum and the strength it's really showing off, we might not go back to those lows that I've been talking about. So this is what I've really been talking about. Just gonna finish this and then we're gonna talk about SpyQuick. So the VIX, we're probably looking at a bottom soon, but it really needs to prove itself. I'd give it a few weeks, and if that doesn't happen, we're just gonna give VIX some time to kind of give us some stuff to work with for the bigger picture. So on to SPY here. Going back to this picture here, this was on the 11th of the 11th month of last year. So that was right here. We were looking for 390. We got that 390 pullback to 410, then 370, then to 420. So 390, 410, 370, then 420. Spot on. But this was a little tricky. This was like CPI or something. It overshot by $4, so this stayed higher by $4 than my target of 370. So, it's pretty hard to predict down to the dollar several months out. So, that's completely fine with how it played out, missing that target by $4. And the thing here is so I was talking about SPY with that 420, but really what I was thinking of was futures as of ES, so 4200. So when I'm talking about, when I'm really analyzing these waves, I'm looking at futures because there's a lot more price action to work with the overnight movements and everything. So for this target has been hit. It didn't hit on SPY, but it hit on ES, that 4200. And that's really the main thing I'm focused on and it's most important to me. We hit 4200 on ES. So from here, what we're looking at is, are we going to hold support right here? If we can hold support here, we can get another wave higher. And that would take us towards 4300 on the VIX. That could, so that's going to be this region right here. That would take us to 420 to 430. So that would be that last wave up. I believe this is, in this scenario, that would be wave 3 of 5, or this would be wave 4 of 5. So the bigger picture, it looks a little wonky, I guess, but something like that. So that actually does look pretty symmetrical to me. That would be 440 to 430 actually. So that's what I've been talking about this whole time too. You can go back to my past videos. I've been talking about 430 to 440 for so long. While all these big YouTubers like Cheddar Flow and Von Walker, I'm sure some of you know who that is, they've been talking about this crash, and they've been getting absolutely decimated on it. just because they have this bias. They really, they're not looking at everything. There's a lot more Elliott Wave can tell you than what these YouTubers utilize. So they've been getting absolutely destroyed by this melt up, which we've been expecting for literally several months. So we've been on the winning side of this trade, and it's felt really good, especially if you're on this winning side. So from here, we're looking at a little more of a breath here, just to see if we can hold support. So if you can see here, I'm talking about sub 300 now. We broke out of that major trend line, which was expected. So it's a really pivotal moment here. The market has to prove itself. If it can hold this support, which I believe will probably get back tested, the longer we stay up, the bigger the drop has to be to come back down here. So if we can start this drop soon, I can easily see us just coming back and testing it. That's only 390. That's a really solid level to test. So you maybe come back down here, one more high, come back down to 390. So it has to do this stuff fast. It really has to do this move kind of fast here, in order to hold this support. But if it doesn't hold this support, the big level is going to be this congestion zone. Under that, it's going to be this demand zone. So make sure to have all this stuff on your charts. So yeah, it's going to be the 360s, and then of course the low. But under this region, it's not looking good regardless if it's like still above this low. So the big spot to hold, in my opinion, is going to be 390 to 380ish. If it doesn't hold that, it's starting to look incredibly dangerous, and that's from I would really be considering that sub 300 level. So you can see we even got a big gap down here, which I wasn't even really looking at, but there's a lot of gaps down here. So that's gonna act as some incentive to get that move down here, and yeah. So I also didn't show you the clip for SPY, so I'm gonna show that quick. What I've been expecting for several weeks now is that C wave up to a higher high. So this is what you need to be careful of. Go look at all of my thumbnails. This is exactly what my chart has been looking like for several weeks, like over a month now, since back here we were kind of looking for that top, into the correction, into another high. So that's what we have here. You have that A, B, C. So the C wave would take us higher. That's 430, 440, and we're just kind of seeing if it can hold this pullback. So on ES, that would be, to just be really specific, that's around 409ish, 4090ish. So if it can hold that, it can get another high up. But for now, it's just kind of constructing these waves, and I think it could finish this constructive process by tomorrow. So we'll see what it wants to do. We're just gonna kind of have to see what Monday gives us, and work from there. So that's where I'm gonna leave this video. Just watch the whole thing through. Make sure to show it some love, give it a like and subscribe, and peace out, guys.